Hello and welcome back to another video, and thank you as always for watching. And today we're going to be talking about the Formula 1 again, and specifically the Miami Grand Prix. And it was okay, wasn't it? It was okay. It wasn't the greatest race in the world. I certainly wouldn't say it's the worst race in the world. I'd much rather watch the Miami Grand Prix than a 2013 Vettel winning 9 races in a row from pole. So yeah, it wasn't that bad. But anyway, let's get into the sort of highlights, lowlights from that. And we'll start at the front. Charles Leclerc versus Max Verstappen, again in a class of their own. Charles Leclerc at the front, he wasn't looking dominant because he had Max Verstappen right on his gearbox. And I think with the straight line speed of that Red Bull that they've got around this track, particularly being a really high speed track, they just struggled. I mean, if you've ever played racing games, if you've got a slightly quicker car on the straight than someone else and you can actually park it on the corners, they're not going to get past. And I think that's kind of what we saw, but on a much higher level in this race. And fair play to Max Verstappen. He just did everything he needed to do, and so did Charles Leclerc. I mean, he closed up every single time he could, got right on Max's gearbox, but just didn't have the straight line speed to re-overtake him. So, fair play to both drivers. They did all they could, really, didn't they? That then brings us on to the second drivers, as you call them, Checo and Sainz. And yeah, it was, Sainz is obviously in front of Checo all race. Perez managed to get right back on Sainz's gearbox as well, looking like he was going to overtake. And then he seemed to have a power issue. Well, I mean, he did have a power issue. Even his team weren't believing him. And he's like, I'm losing 4 seconds on the straight. I mean, they told him he was out of the tow, which is quite funny, because you don't lose 4 seconds from a tow. Everyone knows that. You don't need to be an F1 driver to know that you don't lose 4 seconds from losing the tow. So, yeah, I think Checo is doing everything he needs to do this season and is doing an absolutely fantastic job by the looks of it. Not challenging the number 1 driver, but still bringing in the points every single race. And then, in contrast, you've kind of got Carlos Sainz, who has essentially one of the fastest cars, but is making a lot of errors at the minute. And this was a good race for him because obviously he got the podium again, so hopefully he's back on track. And it's very uncharacteristic from Carlos Sainz, from what we've seen, for him to be making consistent errors. So yeah, hopefully he's back on track. But good battle between the number 1s and the number 2s in that race, really. It's a shame that Checo had the engine problem, because I would have liked to see a little bit of a battle between them two. Excuse me. Anyway, that brings me on to the Mercedes. The Mercedes, again, it just seems to be George Russell's season, doesn't it? With regards to the kind of, I would say luck, but he's also seems to have the pace of Hamilton at the minute. I mean, arguably Hamilton had the pace again this weekend, but George did everything he needed to, and now he's finished in the top 5 in every single race this season. So he's doing absolutely everything he needs to do. And what is Hamilton feeling? Is he fired up for the competition, or is he thinking, oh, I'm done? I very much doubt it's the latter. But great battle between the Mercedes duo, and a fascinating one as well, I would say. And that brings me then on to an ex-Mercedes driver, Valtteri Bottas, who's doing an absolute screamer of a season. I mean, he's in an Alfa Romeo that is not the best car. It's one of the worst cars, and he's kind of consistently in the top 10 or thereabouts, and then he's finishing in the top 10 in races as well. It feels like he's been sort of unleashed in a way, Bottas, and can actually find his full potential at the moment. And he's loving life by the looks of it, and absolutely performing brilliantly. So I'm really happy for Bottas after the sort of troubled time he had at Mercedes. He's obviously got a few wins and everything, but he was always the sort of number 2 driver who's on the way out sort of thing, wasn't he? Yeah, I'm really happy for Bottas, and hopefully that will continue. Who else have we got on the very extensive list? We've got the Haas's again. I mean, yeah, they seem to be falling back a little bit. I don't know whether they're just doing no development again this year, but yeah, obviously Schumacher nearly came into the points and then did that horrific dive on Vettel, but that was mainly due to attrition that he would have got a point. But yeah, we won't spend too much time on them. I hope K-Mag comes back strong again, because he's he's quality, he is, even though he does make some absolutely sketchy moves. He really does. And then brings me on to Alonso finally. I would have hyped Alonso for the whole pre-season. I'm sure I probably did. I may have done, but I don't know. But considering his pace that he seems to have had this season, he's only got 2 points, and we were even considering him for pole in Australia. Believe it or not, I don't really believe it, but he had the quickest first 2 sectors, and then his hydraulics failed, and he put it in the wall. So yeah, interesting one for them, and yeah, hopefully they come back soon. But let's just wrap up the race. Oh, we have to talk about Mick and Vettel actually. Mick Schumacher. Oh, he was going to get his first points. Oh dear. And then he put a dive bomb. Oh, what do you call it? Many words. Full send. That's what I'm going to call it. On Sebastian Vettel, his mentor. And that did not go well, especially for Vettel. I think Mick managed to carry on, but yeah, it definitely lost him his first points finish of the season and of his career. So yeah, hopefully he manages to mature from that situation. I think Vettel's probably going to be out at the end of the year, isn't he? Even though I love Vettel now. I hated him when he was at Red Bull and winning everything, but you can't not love Vettel, I don't think, now. Anyway, yeah, that's enough rambling from me. Thanks ever so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.